You are divinely protected, and the consequences of crossing you have already begun to unfold like a chain reaction of ruin. Someone who plotted your downfall is now facing irreversible decay, spiritually, mentally, and physically. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. What's happening behind closed doors is darker than anyone imagined. An entire generational legacy is rotting from within, their wealth evaporating into dust, their secrets leaking into the light. 3 individuals can't sleep, can't breathe, haunted by the shadows of what they did to you. That's what happens when you target a soul chosen by the higher realms. Divine justice doesn't just strike back, it obliterates everything connected to the offense. Let's begin with the money, because that's where the madness started. The ringleader behind your spiritual ambush manipulated their entire bloodline into funding a covert operation rooted in darkness. They didn't pool millions for legacy, land, or legacy wealth. They funneled it into a sinister ritual meant to hijack your divine path. 12 family members sat around that table, locked in a 3-hour meeting fueled by desperation and greed. They didn't just agree to it. They celebrated the plan, convinced they'd found a shortcut to power. But what they summoned wasn't favor, it was a curse. And now, every dollar they spent is burning a hole through their lineage. The ages ranged from 22 to 78, each one blindly signing their soul away in exchange for promises of stolen power. The spiritual practitioners they hired swore on guaranteed results within 90 days. Wealth, influence, your downfall. But what unfolded instead was divine reversal. Not only did every cent disappear into the void, but that cursed investment triggered a financial collapse so deep it's dragging 4 generations into ruin. Loans are defaulting, businesses are crumbling, assets are frozen, and the spiritual contracts they signed? They're still active, but now the energy they summoned is feeding on them. And that's still not the worst part. The true horror lies in what became of the mastermind behind it all. They're now locked away in a high-security psychiatric facility, restrained and under constant suicide watch. Their mind has fractured under the weight of the very forces they tried to weaponize against you. Medical professionals are baffled. No history of mental illness, yet now they speak in tongues no one can trace, scribble symbols across the walls, and scream through the night about creatures clawing at their soul. But this isn't psychosis, it's spiritual retribution. The demons they summoned didn't just turn on them, they attached themselves, feeding relentlessly, tormenting them with visions of their own eternal downfall. And those entities, they haven't even begun their real work yet. While their family channeled millions into spiritual warfare, the ringleader took it further, launching a full-scale physical surveillance campaign against you that rivaled elite intelligence operations. They hired 8 operatives to monitor your every move in rotating shifts, ensuring your home was never unwatched. Your devices were quietly infected with tracking software, and your inner circle infiltrated. Carefully selected informants posed as friends, allies, even lovers, feeding back your words, your moods, your movements. Over 6 relentless months, they poured hundreds of thousands into watching your life like it was a mission. But all that money bought them was paranoia, obsession, and now, exposure, because everything they did in the dark is being dragged into divine light. Here's the twist that shattered their entire agenda. Every bit of intelligence they collected, every flaw, fear, and shadow they thought they could exploit, only ended up fortifying you. Their attacks backfired with divine precision. What they mistook for weaknesses became sacred blueprints for your transformation. Every strike they launched forged new spiritual armor. Every ambush unlocked a hidden level within you. But it was what they uncovered during surveillance that truly broke them. An invisible force wrapped around you, ancient and untouchable. A presence they couldn't trace, decode, or manipulate. It wasn't just protection, it was cosmic enforcement. And the moment they realized it, fear turned to dread. Because now they knew they hadn't just attacked a person, they declared war on the divine. Even their own surveillance betrayed them. The footage they collected, meant to document your downfall, instead became undeniable proof of supernatural protection. Time and time again, it showed danger closing in on you, only to be deflected at the final moment by forces no human could explain. A car that should have hit you swerved without reason. A fall that should have broken your body ended with you landing on your feet. One family member reviewing the footage broke into a cold sweat, whispering, "This isn't normal, this is something else." Another couldn't finish watching, overwhelmed by nausea and dread, because they finally understood they weren't just dealing with a person, they had picked a fight with the divine realm itself, and they were already losing. 3 surveillance operatives walked away mid-assignment, shaken, silent, and refusing payment. Not out of guilt, but pure terror. They saw things they couldn't unsee, felt a presence around you that shattered their understanding of reality. And the so-called elite spiritual practitioners? These weren't street psychics or petty witches, they were legends in the underground, masters of high-level occult warfare with decades of blood-soaked rituals under their belts. Their services cost more than most homes, and their track record boasted a 97% success rate until they met you. Against you, they failed completely, not once, not partially. Every hex collapsed, every curse boomeranged, every ritual combusted. Their magic didn't just fall short, it disarmed itself in your presence. Because no spell can override what's been divinely sealed. The entities they unleashed to destroy you didn't just malfunction, they rebelled. The moment they were summoned, they recognized the divine seal over your life and reversed course, targeting the very hands that called them forth. Within weeks, the most seasoned practitioner, the one they trusted above all, was stripped of all spiritual power. Her rituals flatlined, her visions vanished, and her once sacred altar now sits cold and silent. The second practitioner began suffering from violent, unexplained afflictions, rashes shaped like ancient symbols, blackouts during full moons, and a constant sensation of being watched. But the third? What happened to him defies belief. He woke up speaking only in ancient scripture, every word a warning, every sentence drenched in holy fire. He now refuses all dark work, trembling as he mutters, "To touch that one again is to touch the wrath of God." Here's where the story twists into the unimaginable. The failed curses didn't just fizzle out, they exploded into a relentless feedback loop of cosmic justice. Every dark spell meant to break you instead magnified your blessings exponentially, while amplifying the misfortunes crashing down on those who launched the attacks. Remember the millions they funneled into this malicious campaign? For every dollar they poured into cursing you, you received 4-fold blessings, abundance, protection, and breakthroughs, while they were hit with 8-fold disasters, financial collapse, betrayal, and ruin. The precision of this divine equation is almost poetic, a perfect balance of cause and effect, except it's a merciless reckoning for those who dared to challenge the sacred power guarding your destiny. The most chilling truth emerged when their entire bloodline began to suffer what the spiritual realm terms generational mocking. Every single family member who funneled money into the attack found themselves marked by an unyielding spiritual judgment. In just 60 days, 17 relatives spanning 4 generations were haunted by the same relentless nightmare, an eerie courtroom where they stood accused of violating sacred cosmic laws. In every dream, you appeared as the key witness, calm and resolute, delivering verdicts that condemned them for their betrayal against divine order. These visions weren't just dreams, they were warnings etched into their souls, a preview of the reckoning that would not be denied. But those nightmares were merely the opening act. The real devastation spilled into the lives of family members far removed from the original scheme, innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire of divine justice. Long-standing businesses that once thrived began collapsing without warning, their ledgers turning red as revenue dried up. Investment portfolios valued in the millions vanished in a single night, leaving no trace or explanation. Even prime real estate holdings plummeted in value with a speed that baffled experts, defying every market prediction. It was as if an invisible hand was systematically dismantling their legacy, sparing no one, and rewriting their fate in ruin. The ripple of consequences reached across generations in ways no one expected. The youngest to feel the weight was just 6 years old, a child too innocent to comprehend, yet they began sketching haunting images, vivid scenes from the very magical battles waged against you, scenes no one had ever shared or explained. At the other end of the spectrum was the family's 86-year-old grandmother, long confined to her bed and silenced by illness, who suddenly regained startling clarity. With fierce determination, she called for a family gathering, her voice trembling but resolute as she confessed every dark secret and pleaded for mercy from the angel they had dared to defile. The invisible threads of justice had woven their way into the hearts and minds of the entire lineage, no soul untouched, no conscience spared. While their dark rituals crumbled, they doubled down with a ruthless digital assault aimed at erasing your name and sabotaging your career. Behind the scenes, they spun a web of deceit, 47 fake social media profiles crafted to spread lies, 312 fabricated reviews planted across every platform imaginable, and anonymous whispers sent straight to your professional network to sow distrust. They didn't stop there. They enlisted a shadowy firm specializing in search engine warfare, engineering a digital blackout to bury your triumphs under a mountain of false negativity. Every click, every search was weaponized to isolate you, yet despite their relentless campaign, your true light refused to be dimmed. The digital onslaught drained them of hundreds of thousands of dollars, demanding coordination across continents and endless, sleepless nights. Yet here's the unbelievable part. Every counterfeit account they spun up vanished almost as quickly as it appeared, suspended by unseen forces within hours of launching attacks. Every fabricated review was instantly flagged and wiped clean, as if an invisible guardian was patrolling their moves. And every malicious article or post they tried to amplify was quietly erased from search engines, erased without a trace. Their high-tech sabotage was dismantled by an unseen power working tirelessly behind the scenes, an unbreakable shield guarding your digital realm. The digital marketing firm they hired to obliterate your online presence didn't just fail, they collapsed entirely. Their own algorithms, twisted to serve dark intentions, inexplicably began flooding the internet with glowing content about you, pushing every negative whisper deep underground. The more they tried to control the narrative, the more it glorified you. 3 employees, overwhelmed by the unshakable spiritual energy surrounding your digital footprint, walked away from the sinking ship, quitting their jobs to become your most passionate promoters. They confessed the unseen forces guarding your name were not only undeniable, but profoundly terrifying, shifting the very battlefield in your favor without a single click wasted. The most intimate and vicious assault they unleashed targeted the very core of your heart, your romantic bonds. Pouring vast sums into dark rituals, they hired spiritual manipulators to cast binding spells meant to sever the connection between you and your soulmate. Their goal was cruel and clear: to drain your partner's love from you and obsessively redirect it toward the mastermind behind the conspiracy. Love spells were woven with precision, crafted to twist genuine affection into obsession, hoping to steal the devotion that was rightfully yours. But what they didn't foresee was that true love, blessed by divine forces, resists even the darkest magic, and their efforts only strengthened the bond they sought to break. They conducted separation ceremonies meant to shatter your sacred union, rituals crafted to sever the invisible threads binding your souls. But instead of breaking you apart, their dark efforts forged your connection into something unbreakable, something transcending this world. Your destined partner awakened to a heightened clarity, an almost supernatural insight that cut through every lie and scheme aimed at you. Together, Your bond deepened beyond ordinary love, evolving into a powerful force so pure and radiant that those who witness it speak of it as nothing short of miraculous, an otherworldly alliance untouched by anything meant to divide. Meanwhile, the one who sought to hijack your romantic fate found themselves trapped in an ironic prison of isolation. Every effort they made to draw love only summoned vultures, people who exploited their resources and vanished without a trace. The binding spells they desperately invested in backfired horribly, weaving chains of loneliness tighter around their heart instead of freeing them. The very love magic they commissioned twisted into a curse, repelling anyone with genuine kindness or goodwill. Their world became a barren wasteland of false affections and shattered trust, a stark contrast to the sacred connection they so ruthlessly tried to steal. The separation ceremonies they unleashed severed their ties to any chance of true love, leaving them adrift in emotional emptiness. Meanwhile, your partner began experiencing vivid, revealing dreams, visions that peeled back the veil on the dark forces meddling in your bond. These dreams didn't just hint at interference, they delivered precise, undeniable details, the names of the spiritual warriors behind the attacks, the exact rituals they cast, and the timing of every move against you. It was as if the universe itself was handing your partner the keys to dismantle the darkness, strengthening your union with knowledge born from the realm beyond. Your partner didn't just resist the dark magic, they transformed into a living shield, their very presence neutralizing every attack with unwavering strength. Their protection turned the tide, rendering all efforts against you utterly powerless. Meanwhile, the spiritual backlash from these failed assaults rippled outward like a supernatural contagion, infecting the conspirators' entire circle with unexplained ailments and misfortunes. The mastermind behind the scheme now suffers a baffling curse of their own, a mysterious affliction that forces them to endure firsthand every hex and torment they aimed at you, a relentless mirror of their own malevolence. For every curse they cast, there's a mirrored torment inflicted upon them. When they unleashed confusion spells to cloud your mind, they now live trapped in relentless mental fog, unable to think clearly. The depression magic they poured into your life has turned their own days into rivers of tears they cannot stem. Binding rituals meant to trap your soul have instead left them feeling physically shackled, weighed down by invisible chains, even in solitude. But this twisted justice doesn't stop with the ringleader. Their entire family is suffering too, as autoimmune diseases arise, turning their bodies against themselves in ways that eerily reflect the spiritual assaults they launched against you. The poison they sought to spill has become a venom that consumes them from within. The aunt who poured money into confusion spells now struggles to recall even the simplest details, her mind slipping away like sand through fingers. The cousin who bankrolled depression curses is confined under suicide watch, haunted by shadows only they once tried to cast on you. The brother who supported binding rituals suffers from a crippling neurological disorder, his hands trembling uncontrollably as if cursed by invisible chains. The mounting medical expenses have plunged the family deeper into financial ruin, adding hundreds of thousands to an already catastrophic collapse. Doctors remain baffled and powerless. Standard treatments fail to touch these ailments, rooted not in medicine, but in a relentless spiritual backlash that no earthly remedy can quell. In stark contrast, your health has flourished beyond anything you've ever known. Every lingering ailment that once troubled you has vanished as if erased by a divine hand. Your energy surges through you like a roaring river, unstoppable and vibrant. Your mind is razor sharp, so clear and focused that those around you can't help but notice and praise the transformation. The very life force they attempted to siphon away from you hasn't just returned. It has multiplied within you, fueling your growth and power while draining the strength and vitality from those who dared to steal it. You stand as a living testament to resilience and divine favor, glowing with a light that only intensifies in the face of their downfall. The family's empire, painstakingly built over 3 generations, is unraveling before their eyes, pulled apart by the invisible forces they unleashed when they attacked you. Their flagship venture, a multi-million-dollar restaurant chain, once a symbol of stability and pride, is now a sinking ship. Just 90 days after the dark magic was set in motion, food safety violations began cropping up across every location. Health inspectors uncovered hazards and code breaches that had never existed before: spoiled ingredients, unsanitary conditions, and inexplicable structural issues. The foundation they once trusted is crumbling, swallowed by the very spiritual reckoning they tried to avoid. Customers began falling ill from meals that, by every scientific test, should have been perfectly safe, an unexplainable sickness casting a shadow over their once thriving restaurants. Meanwhile, their second enterprise, a lucrative real estate development firm, started spiraling into chaos. Projects that had progressed seamlessly for months ground to a halt under impossible delays. Machinery broke down inexplicably, tools failed at critical moments, and strange storms would gather solely above their construction sites, leaving surrounding areas untouched. It was as if the very elements themselves conspired against their success, turning every effort into a battle against forces far beyond the natural world. Their third venture, a thriving online retail empire valued in the millions, was not spared from the unraveling. Their website became a labyrinth of glitches and crashes that baffled even their most skilled IT professionals. Orders vanished into thin air, canceling themselves without explanation, while payment processors grew increasingly suspicious, flagging their accounts for irregular activity and freezing transactions. Meanwhile, in stark contrast, your own business soared beyond all expectations, opportunities multiplying at an extraordinary pace. As their digital empire faltered, your realm expanded, proof that what was meant to diminish you only served to elevate your path to unprecedented heights. Suddenly, contracts far exceeding anything they ever dreamed of began landing in your hands, from unexpected places and strangers who sought you out. Investment deals that once seemed like fantasies proved to be not only real, but extraordinarily lucrative. Business alliances that normally would have taken years to cultivate blossomed almost overnight, accelerating your rise in ways that stunned even your closest allies. Every ounce of wealth they attempted to siphon away from you instead gathered around you, intensifying your abundance, while their fortunes quietly slipped through their fingers, dissolving into nothingness as yours multiplied beyond measure. With relentless precision, the reputation they had painstakingly crafted over decades is unraveling thread by thread, collapsing under the weight of truth. It all began when anonymous sources leaked damning audio from their private family meetings, conversations where they brazenly plotted the magical assaults against you. These recordings found their way into the hands of influential figures within your social and professional circles, sparking shockwaves of disbelief and condemnation. As the truth spreads like wildfire through the community, their carefully guarded facade crumbles, exposing them as architects of deceit and malice while elevating your name as one protected and vindicated. Hearing a dozen family members casually plotting to destroy the angel and seize their blessings stunned everyone who had ever trusted them. Longtime friends, blindsided by the betrayal, began openly severing ties. Business associates moved swiftly to dissolve partnerships, unwilling to be associated with such darkness. Invitations to social events stopped coming, and once respected community leaders found their roles quietly stripped away. The fallout was swift and unforgiving, leaving them isolated and exposed as the community rallied around the truth and the radiant force they tried and failed to break. The social fallout intensified exponentially as more and more people began witnessing undeniable supernatural signs safeguarding you. Numerous witnesses have come forward recounting moments when you faced imminent physical danger, only for the threat to inexplicably veer away at the very last second. Word spread like wildfire about traffic accidents that somehow avoided you in ways that defied all logic, almost as if reality itself bent to shield you. Tales of sudden shifts in weather, where fierce storms diverted or dissipated just to spare you, captivated the community. These extraordinary occurrences fueled a growing awareness that you are protected by forces far beyond the natural world, deepening both awe and fear around your presence. Your social standing has risen to near mythical heights, shining brightly in stark contrast to the toxic shadow enveloping theirs. People deliberately cross the street to avoid passing family members tied to the conspiracy, treating them like contagious reminders of betrayal. Parents caution their children to steer clear of their offspring, and local business owners silently refuse service, cutting off even the most basic interactions. The isolation is absolute, so profound that these once prominent figures now live as pariahs, cast out and shunned within the very community they once controlled. The relentless weight of calamity crushing their lives has driven several family members to the brink of despair, haunted by thoughts of escape through the darkest means. The mastermind behind the attacks has already been admitted to psychiatric care twice following suicide attempts, their mind unraveling under the unbearable burden of guilt. Knowing they are the catalyst for the collapse of their entire bloodline has shattered their sanity, leaving them a broken shell consumed by remorse and hopelessness. The spiritual justice they set in motion has come full circle, devouring not just their fortunes, but their very souls. Two cousins who poured substantial funds into the dark attacks are now locked in therapy sessions, wrestling with haunting thoughts of self-harm. The crushing shame of having targeted an innocent soul has left them feeling hollow, convinced their existence holds no value. Meanwhile, an uncle, one of the key coordinators behind the invasive surveillance, has begun divesting himself of his belongings, his words growing darker with each passing day as he speaks openly about seeking an end to his suffering. The emotional devastation wrought by their own actions has become a prison from which escape seems impossible, as the consequences of their choices consume them from within. The most tragic part is that they remain blind to the truth, that a genuine apology and sincere efforts to make amends could halt the relentless spiritual backlash consuming them. Instead of seeking redemption, they spiral deeper into darkness, pouring even more resources into desperate attempts to find practitioners capable of breaching your divine shield. This reckless stubbornness only fuels the fire of their downfall, as each fresh attack intensifies the very consequences they suffer. Their refusal to change course is like throwing gasoline on a blaze, hastening their undoing with every misguided move. The mounting proof of their orchestrated campaign against you has caught the eyes of multiple law enforcement agencies. The elaborate surveillance they conducted crosses clear lines, violating federal stalking statutes. Their relentless digital assault falls squarely under cyberbullying and harassment laws. Even more damning, the magical practitioners they employed maintained meticulous records, documents that now serve as concrete evidence supporting conspiracy charges. What began as a shadowy attack is swiftly transforming into a legal nightmare, exposing them to consequences far beyond the spiritual realm. 7 family members have been hit with restraining orders, severing their ability to come near you or your circle. 4 now face criminal charges, while 2 are under federal investigation for interstate harassment, escalating the severity of their offenses. But the fallout doesn't stop there. Civil lawsuits demanding tens of millions in damages have been filed, targeting the emotional trauma, financial losses, and reputational ruin their coordinated assault inflicted. The legal net is tightening, transforming their reckless vendetta into a financial and judicial catastrophe they cannot escape. Employment lawyers are now scrutinizing potential workplace harassment claims stemming from their deliberate efforts to sabotage your career and professional growth. At the same time, immigration attorneys have launched investigations into whether any foreign-born family members involved in the conspiracy can face deportation for their roles in the criminal activities. The mounting legal battles have already ballooned their expenses into the millions, with mounting legal fees piling up long before any settlements or court judgments come into play. The financial and legal storm they face is as relentless and unforgiving as the spiritual justice closing in on them. The most seasoned practitioner in their circle completely lost their ability to perform any spiritual work after trying to bind your success, a devastating blow that ended their career overnight. Now, they caution others about the unparalleled protection surrounding you, warning that it defies all known forces. The second most experienced practitioner suffers from a terrifying affliction. Every spell they cast against you rebounds instantly, turning their own magic into a personal curse. Their powers, once feared and respected, have become a relentless source of torment, punishing them for daring to target someone shielded by something far greater than themselves. The third practitioner insists they were visited by angels, celestial messengers who delivered a stark ultimatum: stop all attacks against you now, or suffer eternal damnation. This divine warning has rippled through the underground magical community, spreading like wildfire. Now, a widespread fear has taken hold. Practitioners refuse any contracts involving you, no matter how lucrative the offer. Many are so shaken by the fate of their colleagues that they're abandoning the craft altogether, fleeing the mystical shadows where once they wielded power, unwilling to risk crossing the boundary that protects you. The once feared network of elite spiritual warriors has been utterly dismantled, undone by the sheer force of targeting a single divinely protected soul. The justice unfolding against them moves with a chilling, mathematical precision, revealing the hand of a supernatural intelligence orchestrating every consequence. For every dollar they poured into dark curses against you, $4 worth of blessings have multiplied in your life, while $8 worth of calamities have ravaged theirs. This cosmic balance leaves no doubt their downfall isn't random. It's the execution of an unfathomable, higher justice that cannot be escaped or defied. For every hour they devoted to scheming against you, they suffered a loss of double the time and productivity and endured quadruple the amount of new problems. Every lie spun to tarnish your name only unveiled three undeniable truths about their own character to those who truly matter. Each attempt to obstruct your path sparked the emergence of 5 fresh opportunities in your life, while simultaneously erasing 10 from theirs. This precise, unyielding cosmic balance serves as a relentless reminder that their efforts to harm you only accelerate their own undoing while fueling your unstoppable ascent.